We are anonymous, we are legion, we do not forgive, we do not forget. Expect us. Today, we pull back the curtain on a scandalous international spectacle of corruption, unchecked ego, and ultimate humiliation on the global stage. We are bringing you the complete unfiltered story of how Donald Trump tried to rig the World Cup, only to be utterly crushed, exposed, and publicly mocked by the Belgian national team after the U.S. men's national team suffered a miserable 4-1 defeat in Seattle, ending their tournament dreams. If you want an absolute masterclass, a precise 8-second lesson on how to get deep under Donald Trump's notoriously thin skin, the Belgian football team figured it out perfectly. They executed it flawlessly in front of billions, turning Trump's own arrogance into a weapon against him. For those who have the immense good fortune of not being able to recognize Trump's iconic, bizarre YMCA campaign, Dance a Dance burned into our collective retinas entirely against our will. That specific choreography became the weapon of choice. The Belgian team used that exact dance to twist the knife, mimicking his movements to openly mock him, both right on the pitch during the match and in their post-game celebrations. There is something profoundly poetic about the Belgians making Donald Trump's YMCA dance completely synonymous with the U.S. team getting thoroughly spanked on the field. They were not too far off base with that one. The Belgian team was far from finished with their psychological warfare. Not to be outdone by their own on-field antics, they took the humiliation straight to social media immediately after the final whistle. The players posted a victory photo from inside the locker room with a caption that read, simply and savagely, "Overturn this." To a casual sports fan, that caption might have seemed like standard locker room trash talk. But to anyone paying attention to the dirty underbelly of international sports politics, it was a direct, brilliant exposure of Trump's backroom corruption. It was a mocking nod to Trump's frantic, highly indiscreet phone call to the president of FIFA. Realizing the U.S. squad was in serious trouble, Trump had personally called the head of world soccer to demand they overturn the suspension of America's star striker, Folarin Balogun. Balogun had been handed a red card in a previous match, legally barring him from playing in the crucial knockout game against Belgium. Trump did what he always does when the rules do not favor him. He picked up the phone to try and rig the system. Because FIFA is historically one of the most compliant and compromised organizations on the planet, Trump's frantic request was actually granted. The suspension was magically lifted, and Balogun was allowed to play. It was a special favor granted personally to the recipient of the first-ever FIFA Peace Prize. And let's be clear, they don't just give those types of prizes out to anybody. You have to be a very specific kind of malignant narcissist to receive an award like that. The kind of narcissist who throws a massive public temper tantrum on the global stage after being rightfully snubbed for an actual Nobel Peace Prize, especially after inciting an armed insurrection in your own country. Because Trump absolutely revels in the prospect of meddling in things, and because he pathologically craves the spotlight, he couldn't help but take a massive, premature victory lap before the game even started. He assumed the U.S. would win off the back of his corrupt intervention, making him look like a savior. When questioned about his unprecedented interference in the game's officiating, Trump defended himself in his classic
saying this.
All I did, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. And, again, I'm good at this stuff. I didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was two great athletes that crashed into each other and got entangled. That was not a guy punching somebody in the face or anything. That would be different.
He
Trump
also
even
posted
doubled down online, posting, "Thank you to FIFA for doing what was right and reversing a great injustice. President Donald J. Trump." Immediately, his political minions piled on to celebrate the corruption. Ted Cruz jumped into the fray to kiss the ring, posting, "And on behalf of all Americans, thank you for getting rid of that ridiculous red
Ted
card."
Cruz.
And on behalf of all Americans, thank you for getting rid of that ridiculous red card. This is his. That was interesting. It was spectacular. There was a reason the FIFA trophy sat here for as long as it did.
In other
It was
words,
spectacular in its sheer arrogance. There was a clear reason why the FIFA trophy sat in the United States for as long as it did during that tournament, and it had everything to do with political leverage and absolutely nothing to do with fair play. Trump wasn't trying to hide his meddling. He was proud of it. He wanted to show the entire globe that he could break the established rules of international sports with a single phone call. While Trump's political interference wasn't the sole reason Belgium won, it certainly didn't go unnoticed by the Belgian players. They knew exactly what had happened behind the scenes before they even stepped onto the pitch. They knew the rules had been bent just to disadvantage them. That blatant display of corruption sat heavily in their minds, burning inside them when they walked out of the tunnel. You don't go out of your way to post, "Overturn this," on social media, unless the political cheating was deeply bothering you to begin with. It was a roar of defiance from an honest team that had just beaten both an opponent on the field and a corrupt political machine off it. This situation completely taints the integrity of the World Cup. For FIFA to buckle to political pressure like this marks what is believed to be the first time since the 1960s that the governing body has reversed a red card decision of this nature. Special deference was paid to Trump, a globally reviled figure acting like a corrupt boss at the top of a criminal enterprise. Consider the psychological impact of this intervention. The American players went out onto the pitch carrying the shame of unearned, corrupt privilege. But look at the flip side. Think about how the Belgian national team felt watching the American president engage in blatant corruption in broad daylight. The Belgians came into that stadium extra fired up, with a raging fire in their bellies, because they realized the deck was systematically stacked against them by a foreign billionaire politician. Trump's political meddling didn't help the Americans. It took the wind right out of their sails, while simultaneously lighting a massive fire under the asses of the Belgian players. The Belgians realized they were no longer just playing a game. They were fighting a righteous battle to overcome the blatant corruption that the entire world is currently forced to contend with. They became the heroes of fair play, and they played like it, dominant from start to finish. The reality is that the fundamental ideals of the World Cup unity, fair competition, and meritocracy, and the personal greedy ideals of Donald Trump are entirely incompatible. It is not the least bit surprising that he managed to completely sully this beautiful sporting moment, nor is it surprising that Belgium laughed directly in his face. The phenomenal success of the modern American soccer team over the last few years has come entirely in spite of Donald Trump, not because of him. Half of the U.S. roster is made up of players who hold dual citizenship, foreign-born cutting-edge athletes, and the proud children of immigrants. The head coach himself is Argentine. This diverse, successful team is a living, breathing repudiation of absolutely everything Donald Trump stands for, preaches, and works towards. A team like this could never exist in the dystopian world. Trump has spent years trying to build with his brutal, xenophobic immigration, crackdowns, and isolationist foreign policy. You simply cannot try to take credit for the global success of an American team while simultaneously spending every waking hour trying to eliminate the exact cultural and diverse conditions necessary for that team to exist. It is the height of hypocrisy. While it is a bummer for fans to see the United States team get knocked out of the tournament, this crushing defeat serves as a harsh, undeniable lesson for anybody who still chooses to put their blind faith in Donald Trump. This match proved to the world that people do not like cheaters. It proved that sports, culture, and human achievement should always be insulated from political interference and corrupt backroom deals. The exact same slimy, dishonest tactics that Trump has pulled repeatedly in the political arena since he lost the 2020 election may still work to rile up his shrinking base. But the rest of the civilized world operates on a completely different standard. The rest of the world absolutely hates cheaters, hates shameless liars, and utterly detests con artists, all of which Trump has proven to be. In the aftermath of this humiliation, we can be completely sure that Trump is busy throwing a tantrum, cooking up some bizarre new grievance against the Belgian national team. He is probably trying to accuse them of vandalizing federal monuments or damaging the reflecting pool with their post-game celebrations, while his media henchmen gladly scream into television cameras to defend his fragile honor. Because if there is one eternal truth we know about sore losers who have never been held accountable, it is that watching humiliating moments like this never teaches them the right lessons. They don't learn humility. They just look for someone else to blame. The truth has been laid bare. The global stage has shown us exactly what happens when arrogance meets unyielding resistance. But exposing the corruption is only the first step. We cannot allow rigged systems and political tyrants to dictate the rules of our sports, our culture, or our societies. Do not let them win by staying silent. Stand up, make your voice heard, and take action. Right now, share the truth, expose the lies, reject the cheaters, and never stop demanding absolute accountability from those who think they are above the rules. The world is watching, and we are watching with them. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.